Morning, guys. We're playing in the shop this morning, and I'm not doing anything I really should be doing, but anyway, we're playing. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Hemingway Kits, because that's actually what I'm going to start this morning, is their sensitive knurling tool kit. And I'm going to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly that I've experienced with Hemingway, and there's some of each. I had originally ordered back in January their rotary broach kit, and I still haven't started that kit. I've got it sitting here, and I'm going to start it after this knurling tool. My idea initially was I just wanted to do the rotary broach, and I did a little video of the unboxing of that because I was so impressed with their service and the quality of the kit and everything. I don't know if I've released that video or not. I'm kind of doing stuff in whatever order it comes out right now. So if you haven't seen it, I could not sing their praises loudly enough. I ordered that kit. It was shipped the next day. They've got a new website compared to what it used to be. I don't know when they updated it, but they had order tracking and everything right on there. And I was so impressed with that rotary broach kit because it arrived here from the UK within a week. Tracking was excellent on it there. I placed the order the next day it was shipped, and it showed completed on the order. I could go back into the website in my little dashboard there, and I could bring up what I'd ordered, all the costs, when it was shipped, all that good stuff, print out the PDF of the order, all of those good things. So I was very, very impressed. So I turned around and I ordered the sensitive knurling tool kit in, it was February 18th, I believe, is the date that I'd ordered that. And the next day it showed the order as being complete. So I thought, well, that's good. But the website, every time I clicked on any of my, or anytime I clicked on my previous order or that order or anything, it gave me a 404 error, couldn't find that page. So I thought, well, there's a glitch in the website. So I waited and nothing appeared. So I emailed them and didn't get a response, which seems to be the normal. I know of at least two other individuals that have ordered things, and they've ordered they've emailed in questions about either if they could show parts of those plans, parts of the prints without giving away any copyrighted information or anything, or other questions, and they've received no response whatsoever. And I got an email on the 27th, so it would have been 10 days later between this emailing them about it and receiving a response saying that it had been shipped on the 25th. So still showed the order was complete. I'd explained that I couldn't get into my back end of the dashboard and thought, well, that's a glitch on the website. They'll get that corrected or anything. Well, as of today, which is what is today? The 29th of March. Yeah, the 29th of March. Why, I still can't access that website. And the tracking information and everything was either incorrect or outdated or not done, and it was shipped through the same carrier. It was shipped through Global Parcel, I believe. And finally one day this kit shows up for this knurling tool, and there was a note on it saying, sorry for the inconvenience, but we're waiting for knurls to appear, and they'll be there we'll ship them in about 4 weeks, is what I believe it said. So not a big deal, although they probably could have shared that information when they did send me the email about the being shipped on the 25th. Well, when tracking did show up through Global Parcel, it showed the 27th as when it was shipped. And about a week and a half later, why it showed up here, and the tracking was not good. I still can't access the back of the website, any of that stuff for any of that information. No past orders, no nothing. So apparently that's not being taken care of, which I can't complain about that because my website's terrible. But when I had ordered that, why it did show the knurls were in stock. It showed everything as being in stock and shipped, and it showed the order as completed. So I'm still waiting on knurls. I don't have knurls, and they appear to be at least somewhat proprietary size knurl. I have not found from any of my normal suppliers that size. I can find that size, but the inner hole diameters are different, and I just have not found those knurls. So ultimately, I'm going to assume that I will eventually receive those knurls. I don't, if not, why, I'm probably going to end up and be building my own knurls for this little knurling tool. The prints are absolutely excellent for both of these. They're printed out on A3 paper, I believe it is. They're a very well done laser printed color print. I'm really impressed with them. The rotary broach has, I think, 3 pages of those. The knurling tool has 4 pages. And then the instructions. The instructions for the rotary broach seem to be very, very good and very precise. The ones for the knurling tool are basically going to come off the prints. There's a little bit of information there, but nothing that really helps me. Now, and I'll throw a picture of the main page up. I'm not showing the bill of materials with it, but it shows the first pages. And I've laminated these. And I'm just throwing a still picture of those up because if there is some point when there's a copyright issue, although I'm not showing anything that you can't see on the website. I'm not giving away any dimensions or any of their information, and that is their information that is copyrighted. So I try and respect that as much as I can. The prints are absolutely beautiful. I've laminated all of mine, and ultimately they will get framed and become shop art. Or in my office, they'll be art because I think they're that good. Been some discussion by one of the YouTubers that built one that he didn't like the way the dimensions were laid out because they were just kind of willy-nilly as to what the spacing was and everything. He's looking at it from a CAD CAM perspective where you're going to pick up one corner or one particular point, and all your dimensions are going to work off of that. And I understand that. I'm going to manually machine all of these parts, so it's not really an issue to me. For a manual machinist doing that, if you look at it from that perspective, why everything's well dimensioned, and you can figure out where the things are placed. And if I'm just drawing stuff up on the drafting board, I may very well my drawings may very well be the same in kind of that same format and not have one point. Now, if I'm working CAD and CAM stuff on Infusion 360, why, yes, I'm going to lay out from one particular point. So anyway, I understand that. The plans are very good. The information appears to be all there, and I'm, very happy with what I've gotten. So I'm going to start on that today. I've made one major change to it that I haven't really seen done before. I'm probably not the first, but I haven't seen it done before the way I'm going to set mine up for my tooling. So I'm going to take you down here to the bench. We'll go through what we got with the kit and just show you the raw materials, and you can decide if it's something that you want to tackle for yourself. But I share the negative about Hemingway not because I'm trashing Hemingway, not because I'm saying don't deal with them, not because I've got sour grapes at this point in time, at least. I just say it so everybody can be aware of what you may or may not be in for, especially if you're getting those shipped across the pond, as the British would say, here to the U.S. So anyway, let's go down to the bench. Let's take a look at these materials, and we'll get started on this. Okay. Here's the box this particular kit came in. A little bit beat up by the time it got here, but everything arrived. It's pretty well packaged. I'm not unhappy about that. I am kind of unhappy that it didn't actually ship until the 27th, and that, I was told it was shipped on the 25th. That's not really a big issue. I think it was probably packaged on the 25th and then shipped on the 27th. But anyway, I'm not going to dwell on that. What it is what it is. Hopefully we'll get knurls for it. So anyway, this is the box that came in. Everything came all bubble wrapped. These two pieces were in together. And at this point in time, one of these is going to be surplus to my needs. And all the rest of these, I think I've looked at most of this stuff, but I've left it wrapped because I wasn't really ready to start on it. Dimension-wise, we've got metric fasteners. We may or may not use metric fasteners on this. We'll see what we've got and what we don't. I think they call this bright steel. We'd consider it just cold roll. There is some drill rod. There's some free machining mile steel, which I'm going to say is probably like our equivalent to maybe a 12L14. Got brass for the bushings. And those, I believe, are going to be the arms, ultimately. So there's what we get in the kit. Cost-wise, not bad for what we're getting. By the time I have them shipped here to the States, why it gets to be a little bit much. But anyway, the main changes, or the main change that I'm going to make, these would be our side plates for it. One left, one right, and then a bracket coming off here to go into your tool post, or assuming a quick change tool post. I'm going to change that up a little bit, and I've cut a quick change tool post blank, and I'm just going to mount it to the front. And then our knurling tool will be permanently affixed to this. I will, like I do a lot of these things, we're gonna make this up as we go along. I'm not sure if I'm going to mount it to the front, which is probably what I'm going to do. I thought about centering it up because our holder is a ½ inch longer than what the side plates actually are. We'll mount it this way onto our tool post. Our knurls will be out here, and you can mount the handle to the tension handle on either side, so it'll get mounted on this side, obviously. And then we'll whittle away whatever we don't need of this tool post and mount it so our elevation screw still fits on here, and we'll figure out spacing of that once we get the rest of this laid out and start to go. So anyway, that's the plan. I'm going to start on the side plate, and this tool post right off the bat is where I'm going to start. And this will be excess. We'll start in and see what we can come up with. So those are the supplied materials. Yeah, all we're doing here is just squaring up the end of our stock. I'm going to do all 3 pieces because we may want to do something else. We might as well square it up now since we've already got the setup. I've already zeroed out the vise, and we've cut the first one. We're just shaving the ends. Normally I like to actually work on the other side of the vise when I'm squaring stuff up. The reason for going to this side is because this is actually the end that will be presented on the tool block. So I just started up squaring off this end. We'll go back and square the other end, but we'll take all our measurements off of this end and make sure it's all 3 of these edges are the same distance and width from this end. So if we square up all 3 pieces, why then we know we're 90 degrees to this, and the other end will be too, but these are all matched off of the side that's going to face forward. Now, little edge finder. What this was a standard 3/8 Mitutoyo edge finder. This I'd originally turned as a taper adapter to mount a drill chuck on here, and I turned my shaft just slightly undersized, so I spun it, and won't hold well enough for actual milling cutter or a fly cutter or a drill chuck. But what it is plenty stout enough to hold is a edge finder. Now I actually ran 4 little set screws around the outside, and I zeroed off of that. So I zeroed up this edge finder, you know, just to get a little better concentricity out of it, and it works exceptionally well. I'm not sure that really makes any difference, but it did work here. And this is the side we're going to edge. We want this one to be our little stupid check just to make sure. That should be our 0 again. That should be just beyond that. I think that's our not quite going to clean up when we come to that dimension. There again, this is on the back side. It's not going to make a bit of difference for that little bit, but that's kind of where we're at. So we're just going to rinse and repeat for the other one just because we can. All right, well, we've done a little bit of layout here. And what I've got is I've got the tool post mount, the bottom part with the dovetail on it down on the bottom. We've got it clamped to the upper plate, just to make sure everything's fairly aligned. I'm going to pick up this point right here as my center point. And these are the two screws that bolt the two halves together. So I'm going to go ahead and drill and tap them. And once I get them drilled and tapped, then we're going to try and maintain our 0 here, and then we'll go back and drill and ream these two holes. We're using our little brown and sharp wiggler just to try it out a little bit more, since I got it all blued up and finished up in the new mount made for it. You know, amazing, had the original shaft and nut that had been crashed and were all bent and screwed up and everything, and a screwed up pointer, and now we've got a good functional tool again. I finished up several little projects like this, and I'm going to continue to do them. And I shot a video of this, but eventually we'll get it put out. I've been trying to concentrate on machining stuff rather than just shooting video. Seems like I was to the point where I wasn't really accomplishing anything in the shop. Let's just center drill this very quickly, just to make sure we're where we need to be. I'm going to upgrade this chuck too. I've got to order some new jaws for my good Albright chuck. And I think what we're going to do is I think we're just going to drill this to about 1 3/8 depth for the part of that may break through the dovetail. If it does, why we'll run it on through there then, and if it doesn't break through, why then we'll just drill a blind hole. Slow that down just a little bit. Okay, and that does break all the way through into the dovetail, which is fine. Just makes it a little bit easier to tap, I think. Yeah, it hits the other side of the dovetail. Okay. We'll go ahead and tap that. And I'm just going to tap these by hand and get a get a screw in there to lock it into position. Then we'll do the front one the same way. Then we'll go back and drill and ream our other 2 holes. Verify that we do actually have the right size tap there. This outside will get countersunk and clearanced. For a countersunk screw to go into it, the back will still remain tapped, and we have to drill with a clearance hole the spacer that goes between these 2. They recommend clamping all 3 of them together. I prefer, I think, to just do these 2 for the moment, especially since I've got a thicker back plate. And then if we, then we'll go back, and since we're working off the digital readout, it's not going to be that big a deal to drill for clearance holes the spacer piece that goes in between these 2. My main concern for right now is going to be getting these 2 halves drilled, tapped, and reamed to their proper sizes, and then we may go back still yet today and do that spacer piece, at least get the holes drilled in it. It has to be radiused, and then all of these corners have to be radiused. I think to do that we're probably going to use the rotary table, and I will have to set up a little more tooling for that. I haven't really used that rotary table enough to have everything I want for it, so of course, like everything else, there'll be a little tool making involved. Kind of what's gotten me going on some of these little projects like this, some of these smaller pieces of tooling like the rotary broach, and this for that matter, is I've kind of been interested lately here in some of the smaller machining processes on some of the smaller machines, like the Atlas machines and things like that, which is why I still play with those. But at some point in my life, I may be at a point where I either don't have the space or the abilities to be having the big machines, and you know, for right now I'm still doing fine, but at some point I may not be able to move around 10,000 pound planers and things like that, so I'm kind of gearing up for having at some point in life maybe a smaller shop, or you know, as long as I can and have a space to do it, I will have things like the planers and the larger lathes and stuff, but we'll see if that's gonna, the plan is to continue with them, but we'll see. Probably not quite deep enough yet. I have to look and see if I've got a little bit shorter 6mm screw here. This is just what I grabbed out of the drawer. I don't have a tremendous amount of metric stuff yet. Oh, yeah, looks like that'll work. I'm going to go back and double check that dimension. I don't have it on my little drawing here. And that is proper. Now, rather than just making each of these parts to dimension, we're going to fit everything individually to it. You know, when they call out a 1/2-inch reamed hole or a 3/8, I believe here they call for a 3/8 reamed hole on the top. We're going to ream that, but then we're going to fit the bushing to that hole for whatever dimension we've got, rather than messing around with trying to make sure our reamed hole is exactly that, since it's just there'll be 2 bushings in the top. In the bottom they call for a 1/4-inch ream. It's not bushed, but we'll ream those holes with our reamer, and or if we don't have the exact size reamer, whatever we've got that's close, and I've got several things that are within a thou or so of each other, we'll just, since we're turning each of those bushings, we'll just turn them to match those holes. Hey there, pup. What are you doing? Huh? What are you doing? What are you doing? Huh? You being a good boy today? Huh? Yes, I know. We'll go in a few minutes. Okay, those two are going to be locked together. And we'll go back and drill and ream our 2 holes there. So let's come back down again. And I would imagine we will we'll have to go gather up reamers here in a minute. Now, let's see, let's go this way. Right there's our lower pivot hole. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, well, I want to go double check the print, make sure we've got everything the way we're supposed to have here, and gather up reamers and all that good stuff, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. All right, well, we've gathered up some reamers, and we're going to get this taken care of. So we're just drilling with one size under 1/4 inch, and we're just doing fractionals here. So let's pop this on through. Now we're going to have a little notch in the other side of the dovetail, which we don't really care about. It's not going to weaken it to any degree that amounts to anything. And for our reamer, I think we're just going to go ahead and chuck it up in the drill chuck here. And we're going to slow it down a little bit more. See what this reamer looks like here. Use a little soluble oil and just see how okay, let me grab a plug gauge and we'll see where we're at. There's a 251. see what else we've got here. Okay, here's a 252. 252 fits. There again, it doesn't really matter what this dimension is as long as we match the shaft to it. And the 253 won't go. Now this is a minus set. So a 252 minus will go into it. I'm happy with that. Okay, let me clean these up, put them away, and we'll drill and ream the third one. All right, well, this is just a rinse and repeat of the last one. Open that up to one size under 3/8. Starting to cut through that, through the other side of that dovetail. Oh, that's what happens when you spin them. Huh. Okay, now this is advertised as a 3745, so let's see what it really is here. What we end up being. Okay, let's see what a plug gauge tells us. 374. I'll bet that's all we get is 374. I'll bet a 375 will not go. It starts, but it's tight. So we got a 374, so that's a little bit undersized. That's 3745 is what we're showing. So anyway, let me clean this mess up. We'll go back over the bench and do a little more layout. Okay, next thing up is, I think we're going to go ahead and square off one end of this. This is our 5/8 stock. This is the piece that goes in between these two. Now this is our piece that we ended up with so far. The only other main machining for this part of the body is there's a relief cut on the inside on both sides of these. The spacer goes in between, it goes right in behind here, and it'll have a rounded front edge. So for right now, what I'm going to do is just square up one end of it and then drill my 2 holes. Then we'll go back and drill relief size holes both in this piece and in this top plate and do our countersink here for these screws, and that's probably where we're going to call it an end for the day. But anyway, I'm going to go over and I think this is exactly the same as this last operation here, or is drilling these 2 holes and squaring up the ends. So I'm just going to go and square up one end and drill our holes, and I'll be right back. Well, we're drilled and countersunk here. We've got our spacer squared off on one end. Yeah, it's on this end, and then drilled to tapping size, or to clearance size, and this is our back side. We deburred this a little bit, it fits back on our tool post. So the way this is all going to go together, this will be rounded, but anyway, it'll sit there. This will go through here and through here, and we even have the right size wrench. This will fit right on there. And these may or may not be, these are probably going to be too long. That was one of the complaints with everybody, was all the screws were not the proper length. They were all way too long. So, anywho, let's see what we got here. It's a pretty nice fit. That will all align once we get things positioned properly. Yeah, they're just a little bit too long. It won't fit on that tool post. But this is the way it'll sit on the tool post. All our mechanism will be here. We'll radius all these edges, and next thing to do will be to cut the release down on the inside, and there's a relief down here on this side and here on this side where our sliding bars go up and down, and these are our 2 pivot points for our arms coming out. So yeah, all in all, that looks really nice. I'm really happy with that. Now, I haven't drilled this for the height adjustment screw yet. I'll wait until I get everything else done and then figure out what we need to do, because I don't want it to, our adjustment mechanism will go right here, and our pivot mechanism, the arm, will be right here. So we may not center it exactly in the hole. We may slide it to the back a little bit just so we've got clearance here, and then we'll position where it goes and decide what we need for an adjustment knob, if we have to extend it up a little bit, or just exactly what we need to do to get it to the proper height. So, or it may be too high. We may want to drop it down a little bit more, so we may have to actually cut a little bit of a relief for our adjustment pin to go down through. We'll figure that out when we get there. So anyway, that's the first part of it done. Hopefully you find that a little bit interesting. Comments, suggestions, leave them in the comment section for me below, guys. And as always, thanks for taking the time to watch.